Long before European ships crossed the Atlantic, North America was teeming with human life, home to hundreds of distinct, sovereign indigenous nations. Yet, when outsiders look back at this era, they group thousands of years of diverse traditions under a single, highly misleading label: Native American religion. In reality, there was no central religious authority governing the continent, no overarching figure dictating what people should believe. There was no single sacred book, and no universal holy text establishing a uniform code of laws for everyone. Across the continent, spiritual practices varied wildly. Even neighboring communities living just miles apart could hold entirely different understandings of the universe. Later European observers struggled with this complexity. They often slapped broad labels onto specialized practices, applying the term medicine man to almost any spiritual leader. Within these nations, roles were meticulously divided. A community might have specific individuals dedicated to healing physical ailments, others responsible for leading seasonal ceremonies, and separate elders tasked strictly with keeping sacred songs alive. The search for a unified Native American religion is a Western projection. It attempts to squeeze a vast, deeply localized reality into a neat, easily understood box. To understand how these traditions actually functioned, we have to look to the ground. For many indigenous communities, spiritual life was deeply entwined with the physical environment. Mountains, canyons, and rivers were not viewed as property to be owned. They were sacred records. Specific locations anchored a people's origin stories and carried the memories of their ancestors. Observing ecological cycles was a matter of practical survival and profound reverence. Knowing exactly when a river would swell over its banks meant the difference between starvation and a bountiful harvest. Because belief was tethered directly to geography, a community tracking bison on the open plains developed a completely different worldview from a community navigating the dense forests of the Atlantic coast. Different ecosystems naturally birthed distinct ceremonial worlds and unique answers to how the universe began. In the Northeast, among the dense woods, Haudenosaunee oral traditions passed down the story of Sky Woman falling from the heavens and the formation of the world upon the back of a giant turtle. In the arid Southwest, Pueblo peoples preserved entirely different narratives. Their traditions focused on the emergence from beneath the earth, centering community life around sacred underground spaces called kivas. Up in the Pacific Northwest, the rhythmic tides of the ocean and the annual salmon run completely shaped the culture. Complex artistic traditions emerged here, carving stories and lineage directly into massive wooden structures facing the sea. Without a single written text, human memory acted as the living archive. Elders and storytellers bore the heavy responsibility of carrying precise knowledge from one generation to the next. All of this knowledge was put into active practice through communal ceremonies. Gatherings for the harvest, the changing seasons, or life transitions brought the community together to reaffirm their specific bonds with the land and each other. Native spirituality was not a set of rigid dogmas to be read. It was a set of ecological relationships to be actively lived out. This delicate balance of localized knowledge would eventually collide with the arrival of Europeans and an entirely different worldview. Missionary movements pushed into native homelands with an active mandate. They built imposing structures to suppress indigenous ceremonies and replace them with Christianity. Soon, colonial governments followed suit, passing laws that actively restricted or banned key native practices. But a decentralized system possesses a unique strength. Not housed in a single vulnerable institution, external forces couldn't easily decapitate them. The network bent, but survived. Under pressure, some communities adapted, quietly incorporating elements of Christianity while keeping ancient, independent identities intact. Native American spirituality did not disappear after European contact. It changed, adapted, and remains a localized, living legacy shaping hundreds of sovereign nations today.